Hey everyone, it's Gary Hewitt from Thought Knocks, and a lot of people ask me how I know what I know, and as I mentioned in another video, a bit of a polymath. I like a lot of different things. I like diving into a lot of different things. So what I'm just going to show you today is my current finished list, not my reading list, but my finished list. This is a list of books on Audible that I finished recently. So just quickly go through them in case some of these are of value to other people. So Possible Minds, 25 Ways of Looking at AI. Excellent book, 25 different opinions from thought leaders on where AI is going, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. Excellent read, or listen in this case. Persuasion. So this is Robert Cialdini's work, and his other book. It'll appear below. The amusing thing about this is that he actually wrote this so that normal people, regular people, however you want to say that, have a fighting chance to not be tricked by the dirty tricks that marketers and politicians and other people that have a vested interest in coercing you or making you do things that you otherwise wouldn't do. The weird thing is these books have sort of become the kind of the marketer's Bible, but he does put some very interesting and explicit warnings in there about using this for not good. So and he's got some strong evidence to suggest that if you want to use these techniques for not good, then there's a price to pay for that. So I was very glad to see that. Building Story Brand, excellent book, well worth the read. Digital Transformation Playbook, felt a little old, but nonetheless, I think a lot of companies are still struggling to catch up with, where we were in technology 5 to 10 years ago. Now that AI is on top of this, it's really accelerating that, like, holy crap, what do we got to do now, sort of thing. Santana book, wonderful book. I'm a closet musician. I used to play professionally back in a different lifetime. I love Santana's work on Masterclass. Went through a whole bunch of things in Masterclass, but this book, just excellent. He understands that spirit sort of covers the whole range, from the sacred to the sacrilegious, and he sort of with his music, he wanders through that entire range. So that was very interesting to see. Launch by Jeff Walker. Obviously, I've spoken about that quite a bit. This is the updated version. The Healing Code. Now, here's one. There's a couple books along this line. You'll see, I think the Theta Code comes up as well. Fascinating book. It's tough to read in that they're talking about what they're talking about more than they're actually talking about it. But when you finally get to the exercise, then it helped me realize one of the things that I wouldn't exactly say I missed with the magic words, but it just framed how challenging the problem is. So once I saw that, I realized, oh, okay, we're not going to get something that works first time. It's got to be repeated, and they have something that needs to be repeated quite often. But again, if you're into self-healing, then excellent book for that. Membership economy, again, a little bit dated. I think people are getting tired of memberships. Again, worth the read though. Dianetics, one of the first books I read that I felt it was like an owner's manual for my brain. So fascinating, really fascinating book. And back at the time, I tried to get in because I saw their auditing technology, and I said, wow, that may be able to help me. And they wouldn't have me, so I was like, okay. So I won't dive into that rabbit hole right now, but they claim that their stuff cannot be reverse engineered. So of course, me being me, I reverse engineered it. And it's fascinating when you understand how the mind works and when you see that in other people. Four Agreements, a book everybody should read. May your word be impeccable. The Fourth Turning, another sort of ground-shifting book that sets the frame of why things are as messed up as they are right now. The good news is I think the fun stuff happens in the first turning. So at the end of this one, and I don't know the exact quite dates, I haven't been able to figure those out, but we should go from, kind of the worst state of human affairs and then starting into much, much better, and we go on an uphill journey for about 40 years or so. Again, fascinating book. That cycle has repeated for a very long time and seems to be relatively predictable, so very interesting. The Game. Now that I've done some work recently in the dating world, and The Game, it's you will either be disgusted by it or fascinated by it, but it's an interesting read. And it's one of those books that makes you ask a lot of questions. It makes you uncomfortable with things. And I like that. I like exploring other people's, views and perspectives of things. I don't necessarily agree with it. Just because I read it doesn't mean I agree with it. But I like to explore and understand. Your Deceptive Mind. This one is brilliant. We all have all of these biases about the way that we think. And this kind of maps a lot of those out, so you realize how, I'm not going to beat up the mind because it's a fascinating instrument, but you realize that you want to have systems and you want to have standards and processes in place to do what I call escape the animal. Because without systems and processes and sort of agreements, then we kind of fall to this minimum baseline. The book doesn't talk about that, but the book talks about all the reasons as to why we would do that. Talking to Strangers, interesting. The Bottleneck Rules, how to get more done when working harder isn't working. It's an okay book. The Innovator's Dilemma, meeting the challenge of disruptive change. Again, interesting. Natural Advantage, Colby. Again, an interesting thing. Unlimited Power, very nice book. Exactly What to Say, the Magic Words for Influence and Impact. Again, okay. Humans Need Not Apply, A Guide to Wealth and Work in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. That book, it was written a few years ago, and it's very prescient in what's going on because we're at a moment in history when muscle and mind are both going to be replaced by AI. So a lot of the jobs that we thought would be irreplaceable have just suddenly come up for grabs because AI, as we're finding out, is smarter than us in a lot of ways and will be smarter than us in every way very shortly. But when you marry that to robots and robotics and you get machines that can do as much or more than we can, there's no reason why, we have this sort of sci-fi dream that robots will look very similar to us. There's nothing stopping a robot from being the size of a dump truck. And that's kind of a scary thing when you realize that, wait a minute, they don't have to be our size. There's nothing stopping them from being microscopic nanobots. So there's this whole range in between, and when they're connected in sort of a cloud arrangement, and capable, of working in an orchestrated way like ants, it's very terrifying. That it really gets back to we want to get AI right rather than right now, and everybody seems hell bent on getting AI right now. So kind of scary red flags there. A More Beautiful Question, brilliant book. It really gets you to think about how to get to answers. Asking better questions, obviously. Deviate, The Science of Seeing Differently. Fascinating book. Another one I would highly recommend to a lot of people. It helps you see the world differently and helps you see the value of people who see the world differently. Get out of your head and into your life. I think that was a book that got very popular, partly because of the title, but nonetheless, it's very good basic advice. Out of My Mind, a similar sort of experience. Again, a very interesting read. Now, when I was younger, I used to read sci-fi all the time. Loved sci-fi, just really dove in, when you actually had to pick up the book and turn the pages. That was all, I just love that. Anyway, so this is one of those sci-fi reads. Very, very good, very, very well done. It's interesting. It's echoes of, we used to listen to radio plays, so sort of like that, and just interest. Anyway, it's just for amusement. Friend of a Friend, Understanding the Hidden Networks That Can Transform Your Life and Career. Really reinforcing this is not what you know, it's who you know. Personally, I think it's what you know plus who you know. It's the combination, the factorial perhaps of those, the multiplication of those, what you know and who you know. But this really points out how important it is for us to build relationships and build those networks of people around us. Make It Stick, The Science of Successful Learning. Fascinating book. If you're going to teach people things, this would be a very, very good book because it talks about what it takes to get lessons to stick. So anyway, highly recommend that one. Memory improvement. I do a lot of exploration with alpha, theta, delta waves, particularly theta waves. I'm in the HoloSync inner circle. I've been doing meditation with HoloSync for quite some time. I've recently sort of stopped doing it for a while. I still meditate a little bit per day, but I was doing anywhere from 1 to 2 hours up to 6 hours a day, and really calm the mind down, help with focus and so on. So these days, I'm still doing a lot of theta and more delta waves. Delta waves are the ones that knock you out, put you to sleep. So we have these shakers. They're the things that they install in theater seats so that you can hear the sort of the low rumbles of the audio track. And we've actually installed them under the bed, under the mattress. And at night, I play delta waves between them so you can feel the delta waves as opposed to just hearing them. And that tends to knock us out so we have a really good sleep. So I'm always interested in exploring these, and this book has a number of listenable exercises, but there's tons of ways to find binaural beats for that kind of stuff. Coming Storm, financial stuff, interesting. The Theta Code, again, that lines back up with the other book on self-healing. Highly recommended. Sarah Lovejoy, she's got a very unique way of putting instructions together that the subconscious likes and follows. So I'm very glad that I've read that book, and I'm happy to spread the word about her. So again, very worthwhile listening. The Ultimate David Hawkins Library, little tougher to read. He did the Power versus Force, which you'll see later on in the list, and he talks quite a bit about enlightenment and sort of doing the work internally, and some of his experiences and observations on that. So fascinating read. The Art of Relevance, again, this has to do with understanding what it takes to get people's attention, and if you cross-reference this with the book on the biases that we have. It's a fascinating read because as a society, we tend to get into these silos, and I think that's an echo of all the stuff that social media has done. So we don't really cross a lot of these silos that often. And the art of relevance helps us understand that if we want to communicate with somebody, we've got to find what they're looking for. All right, the 10X Rule, it's one of those, it's a good book. It's a lot hustle culture, and I'm trying to deprogram myself from that. I don't know that the hustle culture actually has the equation right. There's a lot of things that they, ultimately to get rich, you've got to figure out how to be really, really lazy, not hustle and hustle and hustle until you put yourself in an early grave. Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion, again, Robert Cialdini. This is kind of the landmark book. It became the marketer's Bible, but again, the fascinating thing is he wrote it to protect consumers from all of the ugly things that unethical marketers will do. So I don't recommend this as a marketing book. I recommend this to anybody who wants to sort of protect themselves from marketing. Nonstop Sales Boom, it's okay. It's for bigger organizations that have sales teams, it's just okay. Understanding the Mysteries of Human Behavior, fascinating. This is one of the great courses. Yeah, so the great courses are recordings of university lectures, and I've listened to a few of them, and I don't know if all of them are up here, because some of them I haven't finished yet. I got a lot more books that I haven't finished that I have, but just digging in. Again, I love psychology, so I love digging into that stuff. 4-Hour Work Week, I don't quite believe it. There's a lot of good advice. It gets dangerously close to hustle culture advice, but it doesn't. I don't know that formula works, and I've heard other people, sort of say that, yeah, there's no way that Tim Ferriss only works 4 hours a week. Anyway, all right, Power versus Force, brilliant book. I think everybody should read it. To me, it was scary as hell when I got into it. It deals with levels of truth that a lot of people just aren't ready for. When you're ready for it, you'll be able to read it and you'll understand it. It kind of marries science and spirituality in a very, very interesting way. The Obesity Code, Unlocking the Secrets of Weight Loss. Clearly a winner, because you just look how big I am. Nonetheless, I think it has helped me, start controlling a lot of the challenges that I have. I don't seem to be gaining weight anymore, which is a good thing. Now I just need to reverse it, go the other way. Power of Awareness, again, interesting. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that's kind of a standard in everybody's. This one, I think, is the revisit. Because there's one where he goes back and goes over the 7 habits, and that book is really good. He really gets in deep. The Upstarts, always loved reading about business, everything in business. So I like to see, what were those critical decisions that they made that actually worked. Right, and it's always easy to do, what they call armchair quarterback. When you look at it backwards, that's obvious, right? The question is, can you see them coming up before they're actually here? Unshakable, your financial freedom playbook. That is again, that's a very good book. Demystifies a lot of the stock market and how to take care of your finances. I'd highly recommend that one. And The Dip, Seth Godin, pretty much everything that he writes is pretty good. So that's just the tip of the iceberg for how I know some of what I know. There's a lot more books that I haven't finished yet. And there's a lot of books that just aren't on this list because they were books or courses or whatever. So I like to exercise my mind. I like to explore things. I like to discover and read about things, learn things. lifelong learning, that's what they say. So that's my bibliography, or a little bit of it, if you will. And I just thought I would share that for what it's worth. So if you want to know what I know, then, go where I've been. All right, thank you.